Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining us. It's a late message, late on a Tuesday afternoon, and I've just got to get this out as quickly as I can. I have been literally on the phone all day, and one Zoom today, one tomorrow, about people trying to work out what are we going to do because nothing else is changing out there. I put my hand up and I say, we're going to fight. Let me start off with the state of taxation. Little business racketeering going on down here in the state of Victoria, which is where I live. Yes, at the moment I still call this place home, but we're in a bad place. Really, really bad place. We have 10 years. Sorry, this is the 11th year of the continuation of the same people, minus our former Premier who's bailed because things were going to get a little bit too hot for him, and we're going to see how we're going to change this situation. I need your help. I need your help. Okay, 2014, Dan Andrews came in and he took over the reins to be the Premier of Victoria, and he rigged with no governor 3 elections. 3. He's handed the reins over to the current administrator, Jacinta Allen, who is in the middle of this issue that is about to blow up, and I hope I'm not overstating it too early yet, in the middle of this issue about what is happening between the former head of the CFMEU taking money from her former boss, Dan Andrews, to push the COVID scam. No, there's no off limits here. I'm going to put this on every one of my platforms, and if we get stopped, I'll just pop it up and I'll just do another account. We've been blocked on TikTok because somebody took exception of me identifying a couple of people. I've had one woman, it's come back to me, one. I think she lives in Queensland. One woman, never met her. I've spoken to her on the phone. One woman complains about the way I go after people. I'm exposing people. When I get phone calls of families living in cars, I don't give a crap. I don't care if someone's got a little bit out of joint, because I'm actually identifying people, because that woman doesn't have a backbone. Because she's got her millions, I know this, she lives off super, and she doesn't have any worry about paying for the shopping bill or paying her electricity bill or putting petrol in her car. Where I am, I saw $2 a litre for petrol. In Melbourne, I've seen $1.60. 40 cents difference. This is nothing compared to what's coming. Mark my words. I'm listening to people in America, they're talking about $10 a gallon, which is equivalent to something close to $4 to $5 a litre. We've seen nothing yet. State of taxation. I'm speaking to people who are a little bit concerned about my language and about how I'm in a hurry to get this message out. We've got small businesses being crushed by the ATO. That's the plan. It's called socialism. We got people who have small businesses, family businesses, with $250,000, $250,000 in land tax per year. And it's not going to stop there. It's going north to pay for the big build. I'm not speaking out of place here because they just showed this on Channel 9 on 60 Minutes on Sunday night. This is not a secret. This is in the Herald Sun, one of the 2 daily newspapers in Melbourne. There's a class action with a law firm taking on the people who've been blacklisted, and they'll never work again in that industry because the people at the top of the CFMEU were taking the moolah, the denaries, the cash. From who? Dan Andrews. We should make him public enemy number 1 because he's burnt our money that we're paying in taxes to give to people to force others to take that shot. I know and have met one of the whistleblowers who's going to blow this all open because it's going to go into court. If you are under the pressure with the State Revenue Office in Victoria to start with, and this little thing called land tax, which is a rort, it's racketeering until we say enough. Give me a message and send me a call about where you're standing. Because this man is not going to give up. Because he can't work. He can't go to his job, which he's qualified, licensed, trained, because of he stood up against his union who were not fighting for him and his mates. That's what that's all about. They're meant to be a closed community. They look after themselves. Dan Andrews put money into the mix and now they're split. Dan Andrews paid money to the top and now the union is breaking up. I want to know how long it's going to take before Australians say enough. Stop doing this and say, what's the email address? But hold on, I'm not a union member. I'm asking you to listen to what I'm saying. I said this last night. We have a plan. We have a legal process which has got to run its course. And those of you who know me, you make your own decision and you judge me on what I'm going to say next. The legal action is going to go ahead, whatever we say or do. It started. A law firm outside of Victoria is taking on the action for the men in this class action. These are good men, because I've met a couple of them. I've spoken to some outside of Victoria who did nothing wrong. All they wanted to know was why didn't the union back them, not to take an experimental poison called a bioweapon. And they were forced, otherwise they lose their jobs. Ladies and gentlemen, we've lost our country. I don't make any exceptions anymore. I'm not making any apologies. If you don't like the language I use, you're quite welcome to go and join the other soft marshmallows and follow them. We're in trouble. We're in so deep trouble, I can't even see what this man, this whistleblower, is seeing because he can't work for nearly 9 months. No, it's not the same guy that was on 60 Minutes 2 days ago. This is the originator. This is the man who started the class action. I'm talking to the guy who started it. And he said he's got the proof. And he's shown me a little piece of it. And my jaw is on the ground. If you are not a union member and you have been affected by the scam called the pandemic, let's see how long this goes up before someone complains, let us know. I'm going to bring together the people to work alongside the class action of people who've been affected because the government had to get the biggest union in the country to force their men to take the shot, and now those men can't go to work, or many of them can't, because they've been affected, they've been injured. We're running out of time. We are running out of time. I'm not flogging you a worthless PMA, which is worthless, because those people are running a business. They're running a racket. They can't argue that paperwork in a Supreme Court anywhere in this country because they know they'll be laughed out of the courtroom so damn fast. If you want to believe someone who's going to sell you a living in the private document, you deserve to lose your money. If you want to hear someone who says, oh no, we're a de jure bank, ask them where their banking license lies. They haven't got one. It's a scheme. I'm looking for the people, whether you live in the state of taxation, Victoria, or you live outside and you've been affected, we need numbers. We need numbers. We're going to have to work out how we're going to do this. This is what I'm trying to say. We don't have time. Because we've got people, women, farming families, hurting. What does the government say if they can't pay the tax? We've got pension funds from Canada and China and England and other countries who would love to take your land. Where are the politicians fighting for you and your children? I said this to a woman, I did a Zoom today. If we don't say and come together right now and understand, united we stand, divided we fall, if we don't get this now, your children have no future. I don't know what else to say. Your children have no future. Not in this country. When you've got politicians who allow immigration levels that we can't even put them into a house, all that is to try and win an election and give them your taxes with Medicare cards and $15,000, $20,000 Visa cards and give them money we can't afford, and you say nothing, you're part of the problem. If you are going to join what we are going to do next, all you have to do is drop your name in that email below this video. What's your plan? I said it last night. Every Monday night, I do a meeting. Tonight, I'm joining Stop the Rot, and I'm joining Kaz and Dave, and I'm going to be speaking tonight. If you don't get what I'm trying to say to you, I don't know what else to say. I don't know what else to say. If we can't bring people together and leave everything behind at home, I'm talking about ego. A lovely lady said to me what ego actually stands for. It's an acronym. Not a word, it's an acronym. Easing God out. How's that working for the other groups? Well, they're making lots of money selling tickets for $300. We're selling you junk, which is never tested and been proven in a courtroom. My paperwork stops court cases. I've stopped cases, criminal court cases by the police against good men. Stop them dead in their tracks. Oh, but we have to sell them for $300 because we need to eat and we need to sell 100 tickets. They're selling junk. Because I've asked the question, go and ask these people which court case do they have to prove that their paperwork is worth $300 a person, and they can't give me an answer. I just said, I've got a video, I don't know the woman's name, she's posted it, and she's talking about the farming families having it really hard because they're being attacked with taxes from the state and attacked by taxes from the federal government. That's the Labor way. That's hard labour, high tax. Hard labour is to attack you and then high tax to finish it off. Go and have a look at a woman. I think she's got a tractor or trailer behind her with some hay bales, and she's talking about the pressure of dairy farmers who are being shut down. Hold on. Dairy farmers give us our milk that we put in our coffee and our cereal every morning. They give us our cheeses, and what they're telling us is they're sending their dairy cattle to the abattoirs. What do we need to say to you if you listen to the rubbish of the other morons who are trying to say, give me money and I'll take a consulting fee and we'll see if we can raise some money to do a class action against Dan Andrews? I'm talking to the man who's doing it, and he doesn't even know what GoFundMe, what that means. He just found a lawyer and he said, let's go. Made a decision. Here's my evidence. And the lawyer said, we got a case. Can you see the difference of the people who are infiltrators, traitors, who want the money, and the people who are standing up? Ladies and gentlemen, when the food gets tougher and more expensive and there's a shortage, it's all being tough because of the Labor Party, hard labour, high tax, because they're going to drive these families off the land. If you don't get this, and you think you can sit at home watching Netflix or Farmer Wants a Wife or maths, you are going to have a rude shock. I'm telling people every day, I listen to what's happening out of the United States, I listen to what's happening out of Great Britain and Europe, and I'm getting information from Asia. It's not good. Banks do not have the cash to give people money in their bank accounts because the big corporations don't have enough profit to be able to give you the money that you want to take out of your ATM. You can't say that. Yes, I can. Because we've got 16 people I know who've had their Bendigo Banks account shut down to transferring as little as $3,000. If you've got more than $3,000, it's too late. It's too late. The banks are actively going out of their way now to say that they're going to be scrutinising people who want to withdraw money because they haven't got it. Jamie Dimon, that's his name, Dimon, D-I-M-O-N, look it up, chief executive of the biggest super bank, JP Morgan Chase in America. The end of the old money system is coming to an end very soon, and in will come the new system. I posted it on the screen for people to see. I'm just a messenger. If you've got your cash in a Rothschild's bank, And I had a woman say to me that, don't be silly, Australian banks are safe. Our banks are safe. He's a moron. Because there's no such thing as our banks in Australia. They're controlled by HSBC, JP Morgan, Citibank, BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street. And above them is the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. So please don't tell me we have our banks when Bob Hawke sold the Commonwealth Bank, our national treasure, to the Jewish banking cartel back in 1991 illegally, because I've got the document. It's missing a signature to sell the bank. But I can't get any help. That's okay. People are going to have to pay. Ignorance requires payment. Because our circle is protected. You can't say that. Yes, I can. I say it every day. What do you mean protected? If you want to know what that means, you have to send me an email and put down protection. Protection from what? Protection with your cash. We are protected. We have a guaranteed, proven, safe, legal, ethical process guaranteed by a document signed by a director. We're the only group in Australia. We're protected. Good evening, Dave. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you, Derek. Yeah, so give us a quick update on what has been going on, mate. These fictitious criminal, banking cartels that are running out of courts, mate. What's happening?
Well, since we last spoke, Dave, we have got an amazing situation in the Eric and Serena case in Wodonga, where the judge or the magistrate was pulled up on destroying Eric's 14 witnesses, and we used the Charter of Human Rights, and we shut down the court. We stopped the criminal trial, and they're using Roman law called sine die, or sine die, and that means there's no date. And the magistrate has told us all the things we need to know and said she's not coming back to the courtroom until we work it out with the police, because she doesn't want to get her hands dirty to rule against the police force in Victoria.
So, again, they're just looking after their Freemason mates, you know what I mean, and doing what they're instructed to do, Derek, yeah.
That's it.
Okay, so they're stiff-arming us in the Australian courts, no doubt, in the state courts, you know what I mean, or wherever we go, they're sort of, delaying stuff, putting stuff on the back table, it's just stiff arm tactics, isn't it? I'll let Kaz come in and ask the questions, because she had sort of looked into this, but, there's a lot of talk about the American scene, to do with us, and, we got Julian Assange. Yeah, Julian Assange.
Well, I do.
Go, Kaz.
I wanted to bring this in because this is Julian Assange.
Would understand that Australia is part of the United States. It is part of this English-speaking Christian empire, the centre of gravity which is the United States, the second centre of which is the United Kingdom. And Australia is a suburb in that arrangement. And therefore we shouldn't go, it's completely hopeless, it's completely lost. Australian sovereignty, we're never going to get that back. We can't control the basic big regulatory structure which we're involved in terms of strategic alliances, mass surveillance, and so on. No, we just have to understand that our capital is Washington. The capital of Australia is DC. That's the reality. So when you're engaging campaigns, just engage directly with DC, because that's where the decisions are made. And that's what I do, and that's what WikiLeaks does. We engage directly with DC, we engage directly with Washington, and that's what Australians should do. We have this electronic globalization. You can read all their newspapers, you can write letters to them, you can engage directly with all these institutions. Just do that, because that's where the decisions are made. They're not made in Australia.
Now, you mentioned something before with Nick Patterson, and I'd like to know a bit more about that.
Well, Kaz, just after Nick Patterson went to the city and he was surrounded by, 100-odd police, and they circled him, and he forced his way through and argued his way out of it, and he went to a rally, and then he came from the rally and they actually chased him down and actually hunted him down, I would say, because I saw the video, broke his arm. let him go to hospital. Then he returned the next day, went to a congregation. I think he went to a church gathering, and he was arrested. He told me that he spent the best part, maybe 3 weeks out of a month, in solitary confinement, and he was only allowed out for half an hour a day. So he spoke to me after he was released, and he said, would you help me to do an affidavit? I've got 4 court cases. I put together a document, which I'm happy to give to both of you, and he actually said, we actually wrote in the document that his case cannot go ahead because we are standing under the 45th President Donald J. Trump in October 2021. He didn't even get to leave home, and he was given a message not to come to court. The case was dismissed. 4 court cases, 4 charges, 4 case numbers, gone, dismissed. We put in a claim of $56.4 million, which still sits on a shelf in the South Melbourne suburb of Frankston, and it hasn't been finished yet because Nick Patterson hasn't finished the paperwork that had 4 court cases knocked off the table, dismissed, pushed out the door. So
Well.
I totally subscribe with what Julian Assange just said. He's been through hell. He's been in jail. He's believed in what he's saying, and I totally support what he's saying. And I've been trying to tell people, there it is. So all these people saying we've got the Constitution are in the dark ages because they don't understand. It's gone.
So, are we better off, taking a swipe at America, are we, and doing it that way, Derek? What?
How do you mean, Dave? What do you want to try and say?
Are we better off doing what you're saying there? You're like start trying on a few court cases to bring in that where that you guys have no jurisdiction. We're actually under the law of war. Manual. We're under the realm of the United States at the moment. What we're trying to instigate here, obviously, would be 11.3, which means that the belligerent occupation no longer has the power over the people. And that instigates 11.3 of the law of war manual. So is that what you're thinking, Kaz? Is that your train here?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So, yeah, like if we're under the 11.3, the law of war, which seems to be an indication that we are because of the Donald Trump retruthing the other day that Biden was shot. So therefore we have to be under martial law. So that would be active. And if that's active, then are we able to actually deploy a similar tactic? That's what I was thinking.
Well, no court in Australia is going to want to allow that we're under Washington. I've actually put that into courtrooms, and I say to people to say the one question that the magistrates and judges can't answer. Do you stand under your own Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, who went to England on the 6th of May 2023 to kiss King Charles on his ring, the one on his hand, by the way? And the magistrates have the same answer in every state in Australia. We can't go there. We can't go there. Can't talk about Albanese. We can't talk about King Charles. So, are we able to get
a look at that affidavit? Can you take out the pertinent parts like the names and things like that? Are we able to actually have a look at it and see, what the difference is with it?
Kaz, I'm happy to share the copy with you. I'm giving this away to people every week because it's got to go out that this is what people need to hear because I tested this in court. I'm not talking about doing a Zoom and doing a YouTube and, saying that we're under the Constitution and saying that. I'm actually doing this in court. And this is what happened with Nick Patterson's case. I'm going to get into trouble for saying this. He let the whole thing go when he walked away and he went to 3 barristers and it cost him $250,000 in legal fees. And it didn't do anything with regard to what happened to him and the police. And he's got a $56.4 million claim, which has not been completed yet. So I'm happy to give it to you.
When you say he let it go, is that he went for the barristers for the claim? Is that correct?
Well, he went through a different group and they said, no, you've got to get a lawyer because lawyers will do a better job than what Derek can do because lawyers, you've got to trust the barristers because they're working for us. I said, we don't have lawyers or barristers or judges in Australia because they don't stand under the Prime Minister. So he's gone ahead.
They all stand under the British, Bar Association accreditation. We know that, yeah.
Exactly. They do not have any connection. And if I can go back to the Wodonga case, the magistrate actually was asked the question by Eric, do you stand above the parliament or do you stand below? And she said, well, it's a very difficult question. We are separate from the Parliament House. The court system is not connected. She said this on the record. We can do our own thing, but we have to look at what the Parliament does to make a law, and the Charter of Human Rights, we have to actually do something about it, but we're not connected. That means there's no constitution. End of story.
Well,
Is this because we're a corporation, correct? Or
Correct.
acting as a corporation?
Yep.
Interesting angle.
So it's really hard to sort of push back on all the noise that these other groups, and I won't mention their names, there's no need for that. I talk about it every day when I put a social media thing out, are trying to tell people a lie because they are trying to say they've never been to court, that we still have the Constitution. I said it's not in the national referendum. It did not happen in the last federal election we just had a couple of weeks ago. There's no Constitution in the courts, in the elections, and on our notes, on our money. It's been taken off the plastic notes. There's no Commonwealth of Australia on the notes.
Where do we go from here? It's a song, where do we go from here? Yeah, it's very interesting, man. It's starting to really open up now.
Yep.
Well, that is really, that is interesting. Did you want to stick around? Because we've got some news that we wanted to actually have a look at. But yeah, if you can get those, that paperwork to us, and also any rulings that you've got, that'd be interesting to have a look at as well. So, even just the email, there we will not be, we will not be addressing this because I'd like to have a look at it and see, just I want to have a look at it and see. So,
Yeah,
all right.
happy to.
All
Happy
right.
to.
Okay. So, just one question here, because, I'd just like Derek's opinion on this too. Just quickly in 60 seconds, Derek, explain yourself. Where did the Constitution actually go and when?
You could spend a couple of hours on that question.
Yeah, but
Some
I'm giving you
people will
60
say, I asked for that one, didn't I? Some people will argue, me included, the Constitution, when it went from Australia back to England, didn't get signed by Queen Victoria. Dead.
Yep.
Some people will say in 1920, Australia went to the post-war gathering in France and said we're a separate country. That's another point. Other people will say Gough Whitlam destroyed it when he changed the Constitution to the Queen of Australia in 1975. Yep. I'm using in my paperwork, we had a national referendum on the 6th of November 1999. Every state in Australia and territory said, no, we're not becoming a republic. We are under the Queen. And that's when all the problems in my book, Victoria threw out the Queen within 10 months, and all the companies and police and judges and courts and Department of, Australian Electoral Commission, the tax office, all became companies before we had that referendum on the 6th of November.
Yep, I totally agree with that. Yep.
So I'm using that because it's only 25 years ago. But you can argue half a dozen different points.